Hey guys, I'm Emma Wilson, SCA volunteer and your guide to virtually wild communities.
I'm the Natural Resources Manager with the Houston Parks and Recreation Department, and we're out at Jester Park, and this is one of our restoration projects. I'm with the Natural Resources Management Program, and so our program manages all the undeveloped natural areas in city parks, and we also create some of those. So we have a riparian restoration initiative where we're targeting all parks adjacent to bayous to create forested buffers. So a riparian area is the habitat along a bayou or a river. And historically in Houston, those areas were forest. And then they ran into prairie habitat that, covered the rest of Houston. So a lot of the areas in parks and throughout our waterways have been cleared. A lot of that was for channelization to help, with flooding and move water out of Houston. But now we're coming back into our parks and we're restoring these buffers and we're installing these trees along the waterways to help with many benefits for wildlife and for citizens. So we have a diverse mix of native trees. We try to get in a lot of different species. Here at Jester Park, we planted 22 different species, thousands of trees, a 7-acre section all along the bayou in the park, and we had a lot of volunteers come out for our Arbor Day event last year. We've had many events this fall, planting a bunch of different parks along our bayou system, and really just provide a lot of benefits for the city. And I'll let Cassidy Kemp come and talk about some of the ecosystem services that these restoration areas provide.
Hi, I'm Cassidy Kemp. I'm the park naturalist in the Natural Resources Management Program, and I'll be talking about ecosystem services of our riparian buffers. And an ecosystem service is something that a native ecosystem gives back to us. And so one of the main ones that's a really big focus right now is flood mitigation. So all of these trees are going to grow really deep root systems. They're going to push through the soil and open up gaps and make the soil much more porous and airy. And then as the water comes down in rain events, it's actually going to have somewhere to go into the soil instead of running straight off into the bayou and adding to the flooding problems. We're actually going to be able to retain some water here and slow it down. Another ecosystem service that's really important is water quality. A lot of people use riparian buffers like this for water quality improvement. And what happens is urban runoff comes into this park from the nearby surroundings. So we have a parking lot right in front of us. There are streets that go all the way up and down this park. And then there's neighborhoods, businesses, all in the surrounding area. So when the rain falls and travels on the surface throughout this area, it's picking up pollutants from the road and bringing them into this park as the water is on its way out into the bayou. So as the water is passing through our trees, it'll help improve some parameters of water quality. And that's really important because there's wildlife in the bayou and there's wildlife in Galveston Bay. So all of the bayous that lead out of Houston all go into Galveston Bay and then out into the Gulf of Mexico. And the water quality of the bay is really important for fisheries. A lot of fish start out their lives in the bay, and so it's a really important estuary ecosystem. And so all of the water that passes through our bayous, through our parks, is ending up there. So there's a lot of reasons why we want to improve the water quality, and this will help with that. Also, when the trees get really large, they're going to provide a lot of shade, and they're actually going to reduce the air temperature around them. So Houston has a problem that a lot of cities have called the urban heat island effect. And this is when you get a lot of roads and parking lots, surfaces that create hot air. And when you have this large amount of that in a small urban area, it can really increase the air temperature. And so adding in things like this really helps with the heat island effect. And that's all for the ecosystem services for humans, but there's also a lot of services for wildlife. This will be a wildlife habitat, and a lot of the animals that we have in Houston really rely on the bayous, and so having really good habitat next to the bayous is important for them. In some of our riparian buffers that we planted, you can see the wildlife instantly starting to use them. And some of the birds that hunt in the water, like kingfishers, they'll drop down and grab a fish, and then they come up and they want somewhere to go. And so if you have a bunch of trees that come up and land in your trees, and then they'll go back down and get another fish. And so this project will provide a lot for wildlife and people. Well, Houston is a really large area. We have a lot of sprawl, so we've taken up a ton of room. And almost all the bayous in Houston are in very urbanized areas. So we can't really ask them to go somewhere else because we've taken up such a huge piece of land. And Houston is actually very situated in an important migratory bird corridor. These birds, this is just the path that they take, and so we need areas within the city that these animals can go to, or else they're flying over and they have to keep flying and flying and flying until they find somewhere to go. So we really have to provide space within the city too. Yes, so we only plant native trees in our reforestation projects, and native trees are trees that were naturally occurring in this area before people came in and settled Houston. And we can determine that by using old tree records. We have a lot of really good sources that we use to determine what's native, and we only use those in our projects. And specifically in our riparian projects, we try to focus on the trees that we know will really like being by the water. So sycamore is an example, red maples, sweet gum, cottonwood, and bald cypress are trees that all really like to be by the water, but we really like to use as many different types of trees as possible to set the project up for success. Water oaks are a fast-growing oak. Sometimes there's a trade-off, because if you have a tree that grows really fast, it might not live as long. That's a common thing that happens. So water oaks don't necessarily live as long as other oaks, but they do have a relatively long lifespan. I think pines grow somewhat fast. Some of the ones that are slower are like live oaks, can take a while, but then they become really pretty, so you just have to have patience. All trees grow at their own pace, but yeah, I would say water oaks grow pretty fast. But we really encourage people to stay on trails. For one, it's better for the wildlife. If you are in a natural area with tall grass, to stay on the trail so you're not disrupting. We have tons of volunteer events each year, so we have a lot of Saturday events, which would be, coming out to the park and planting trees. We also have
regular events that happen at our greenhouse and some of our parks where we work at. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, they can contact us by email at naturalresources@houstontx.gov, and just tell us your interest, and we'll send you a list of our events.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everybody you know, because we want to spread the world about the wild things you can find in your own backyard. If your curiosity has not been sated yet, don't forget to check our description for book descriptions. We have a partnership with Houston Public Library, and they can get you even more books on this topic, and also to visit our website at hereinhouston.org. Thank you guys. Bye.